There are hundreds, if not thousands, of sample libraries out there for pianos. If you want a piano in the door, you are spoiled for choice. There are libraries that heavily mic the piano, or libraries that warp the sound into unconventional textures, and some that even push the boundaries of sound design. Not to mention that there are many free pianos on places like Pianobook where you can download and get them into your music straight away. So why care about just another piano? Well, I could tell you about the beautiful samples and the ease of use and so on, but there's one really big plus to this library that ticks the box for me. And that is that this piano was recorded at Maida Vale Studios, the legendary home of the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and finally, for me, completes the BBC Symphony Orchestra library from Spitfire. Hey, my name is Steve and welcome back to Command Shift New. The BBC Symphony Orchestra is a fantastic library and definitely one of my favourites. It has a highly detailed sound for classical orchestration, but it plays really nicely with other libraries as well for more hybrid and out there orchestrations. So when Spitfire said that they were working on a piano to go with this library, I was very intrigued. It definitely piqued my interest. The piano that they recorded is a Steinway Model D concert grand piano, and it's been recorded in the Maida Vale Studios, the same place that the BBC Orchestra was recorded as well. Importantly as well, it's been recorded in situ, which means that it's recorded exactly where you would expect that grand piano to be when looking at the stage. And it sounds gorgeous. One of the very first pieces that I recorded with the BBC Orchestra when I first got it was my score to Spring for the Score Relief 2021 competition. I certainly loved the library, but one of the things that baffled me at the time was it actually didn't come with a piano. And my piece was needing a piano, so I had to use another library. So personally, I think that this sort of finally completes the BBC Orchestra for me. I kind of think it was necessary for the orchestra, really. If you already have the BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover edition, there will be an update waiting for you already for you to update to the grand piano. And of course you can buy the Pro or Core version of this piano library to match the BBC library edition that you have. The Pro of course has a lot more mics and a lot more detail and is like a lot bigger in size. But with that same exquisite sound as the BBC Orchestra had, it really does feel like it fits in with this orchestra finally. I've been using it for about a week now, so let me give you a rundown of what I think about this library. I should mention as well, I don't work for nor am I affiliated with Spitfire Audio. They have no control over this channel or what I say in this video. But they did send it through to me a little bit early so I could check it out, see if it ran on my system, and if I wanted to make a video about it. Well, I enjoyed it, I liked it, so here we are. Right, so let's start with what I love. First of all, they haven't created a separate app for it. They've actually just embedded this straight into the BBCSO app, the Symphony Orchestra plugin. That is brilliant actually, because I hate searching through lots of different plugins for the instrument that I'm after. It's one of the reasons I like Kontakt so much, because all of my libraries, even from third parties, often get loaded into Kontakt if they're Kontakt enabled, and then I just have one plugin open and every library there. So keeping it with the BBC Orchestra library, I think is a smart plan. In the Pro version, which is the one that I was testing out, there were 2 different mixes of the microphones that were available, and these are pre-mixes that have been decided upon by some engineer, I'm not entirely sure who, but someone has put together these mixes of the samples. And I found that mix 1 is quite warm, mix 2 is quite bright, and to be honest, between those 2 mixes, that was all I really needed. Of course, there are lots of other controls, but I think the 2 mixes are pretty great. I think thirdly, the thing that is important and might be overlooked is that this library is intimate, it's detailed, but it is not flashy. It is not over the top. That is important, I think, because the BBC Symphony Orchestra plugin and library was really advantageous for classical orchestration. For if you wanted something to sound true to how an orchestra would actually play it, there's a level of detail and authenticity there. And this piano suits that. It's recorded in situ, it's in the same studio, and that really kind of leads me on to point 4. It's been recorded in the same studio, so therefore you have the same soundstage and it sounds great. It's fantastic to have it recorded in the same room as the BBC Symphony Orchestra, which means it just gels together really, really nicely. Now, as for stuff that I don't really like, I actually don't really have anything. Which is a bit of a surprise to me, to be honest, because a lot of the time I have some pretty good opinions on this. But I think the fact that the library is quite simple, straightforward, is well detailed, but it's not flashy, kind of makes it just work. There's nothing kind of strange about it, and there's nothing unusual that I didn't like. The samples are good, they sound great, the microphone choices were good, the controls are all familiar with the BBC Symphony Orchestra, because if you've had it before, it works exactly the same, and the stability is great, it just worked perfectly on my system. I will say though, at the time of recording this video, I absolutely have no idea what they're going to be charging for these two editions, the Core or the Pro. And frankly, that could factor into downsides of this library if the prices are astronomical. It's not a flashy library, it's not a wow library, it's just a really good, solid workhorse, something that matches the BBC Orchestra. So if the prices are high, it's probably going to be weird to justify its need. And frankly, there are some really amazing pianos, even for free or low cost, that will give you a fantastic sound. So I'm gonna have to let you be the judge on that one. But if the prices are pretty good, then I'd say it's a safe bet. But it's up to you, of course. Personally, I'm still a bit surprised that the BBC Orchestra never really came with the piano, given that scores often include a piano, and they are, of course, the orchestra of the BBC. And I would have liked to have seen the piano being just added to the BBC library. Maybe in the future there will be a bundle, like a BBC collection or something, or maybe there is now, I have no idea. But I think that it kind of lives and belongs with this library. So I think that that's the sort of person who might enjoy this library. Someone who has the BBC Orchestra and wants to have that piano sound in situ, making it sound gelled with the rest of the orchestra. This is the library for you. And as a simple add-on to an already great orchestra, it's fantastic. As a solid workhorse piano, does pretty well. As flashy bells and whistles and strange sound design, absolutely look in a different direction. This is not that library. So it may be worth checking out if that sounds like you. But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this video and feel free to subscribe along if you like. I do review stuff as well as lots of tutorials and helpful tips. So why not check it out and join if you like. Otherwise though, I will catch you in the next one.